Hey, Larry. I can't hear you, Larry. Can you hear me? Larry, do you want to make me co-host and I can let council members in?
What's that, Sandra?
I can't hear you. Oh, wait, hold on. My bad. I had my earbuds in. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, you're co-host and I'm going to call in on my phone, so.
Okay. Are you chairing the meeting?
Well, maybe.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just let council members in, yeah?
Yes, please.
Ooh, Jeff Edwards is here tonight. Is there a hot issue I should know about?
No.
Okay.
By pound.
I don't see any council members yet.
Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue. Please enter the meeting passcode followed by pound. You are in the meeting now. There are 10 participants in the meeting.
It's a lot of feedback, Larry. Do you want to turn maybe one of your something on mute? There we go. I still do not see any council member meeting. Okay, that's you, right?
Yeah. And then if you scroll down, there's like 9 people on the waiting list.
But nobody's from the council.
I don't know. I didn't. Yeah, there's Robin. I'll let her in.
She's land use. She's not council member.
Oh.
And I think if you put your phone down, Larry, there might be less feedback. If you move, let's see.
Is that better?
Yeah. Yeah. If it's too close, then there's like feedback.
Yeah, and I have to turn off the computer microphone and only use my phone.
Okay. Well, I don't know where all our council members are, but
Yeah.
I'd rather wait to let people in till we have our council members. Okay, so here's Lynette, Jan, and I'll have to unmute them because
There's a place to raise your hand. I think that might be under participants or,
There should be a reactions icon. You should see a little happy face. And if you click on that, there should be the raise hand option. If that's not there, you can go to participants, click on participants, and then I think there might be the option there to raise your hand.
okay, and if you're calling in by phone, *9 will indicate to raise hand. We're going to keep everyone muted until it's their time to converse, at which time we'll turn on your microphone so you can communicate with us. For those not familiar with Zoom, just kind of let us know and we'll try to help you, walk you through it or help you into this. So no committee members. So we have our county and local agencies report. First, we have the sheriff's report. Do we have someone here from the sheriff's department?
Hold on, is it Stuart McDonald? Is that who I'm looking for? Let me look at the names. I do not see that. If there's anyone else, they can raise their hand and let me know. I'll be looking for you. I don't see anybody.
Okay, so for right now, we'll kind of pass that and move along. Is there anyone here from the Harbor Patrol? Not the Harbor Patrol, Highway Patrol.
Highway.
I'm a boater, so you know.
I think Greg is usually here and I do not see his name on the list.
Okay, neither of them. County staff's report. Usually that's Carrie Brown.
Yep. Unmute her.
Oh, wait, I see a John Waddell with his hand
There
up.
is Carrie Brown. There is Carrie
Thank
Brown
you.
listed.
Okay, John, did you have a question? I asked to unmute you.
Yeah, hello. This is John Waddell with County Public Works, and we have an item on the agenda later, but just want to introduce myself to those I don't know. I do recognize quite a few of you on here. I'm the Deputy Director now over Transportation and Development. I stepped into this role about a year ago after Dave Flynn retired. So just want to say hello. And if Josh Roberts is on, Sandra, if you see Josh Roberts, our Transportation Division Manager. If he's not,
hi everybody.
There he is.
There he is.
Yeah, I want to introduce Josh as well, if you don't know him, and he can also share a few words about his role.
Hey everybody,
Okay,
I just want to say hello. I'm the Transportation Division Manager in the Public Works Department. I work with John Waddell and his group. And I just kind of want to give everyone a heads up that I will be taking over lead of the community circulation fee study update. I think that some of you are aware that that was in process. That was being managed by Mike Britton and with a consultant help from GHD. And I'm going to be helping to get that move through the system. Just want to give you a quick update on where we're at with that. Number one, I'm getting
Josh?
up. Yes.
Oh, Josh, excuse me a minute. Are you part of this presentation for Public Works for the?
No, I am
We're-
not. I'm going to be sitting in for the presentation on the 5-year CIP. I just wanted to introduce myself and give everyone an update on the status of the community circulation fee study.
Okay, we have you on the agenda, but it's a little bit further down on the agenda. So if you guys could wait until then, and then you'll have the floor. But right now we're trying to work our way through the agenda we have for tonight's meeting, and we just came for a county staff's report. Usually that's from Carrie Brown.
Got it. Understood. So my apologies. I did not see anything on the agenda items related specifically to the circulation fee study.
That's regular agenda items, and you're number one on regular agenda items.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
we'll
that's the
address that.
5-year capital
5-year
improvement
capital.
plan. That's a different
Okay.
plan, but I'm happy to wait.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Sandra, did you say Carrie was there somewhere?
Yeah, she's unmuted.
I'm here.
Okay. Hi,
Um,
Carrie.
Good evening, everybody.
Yeah.
I don't have much to report tonight, so if I could cede my time to Josh so he can update you guys about the circulation study, that would be great.
Oh, okay. Okay. So Josh, now we can come back to you because we want to give Carrie her time. Or let me be, Josh, before you do that, do we have any questions from board members for Carrie Brown this month? Anybody from the public have any questions for Carrie Brown?
I'm looking for hands. I do not see any. Oh, I do see a hand. Hold on. Yes, there is one hand from Eve Grunfast. Okay. There she is.
I
Hi,
just wanted to ask Carrie if there's any update on the Morrow Shores Planning Commission hearing date or anything new from the Morrow Shores project.
Yes, we are going to be scheduling that soon. We have all the information that we've requested, and I'm just waiting for some final conditions. I'm expecting, I haven't kind of looked at the dates, but we will not be going in May, but likely in June. And once I have a date, I'll shoot you an email.
Okay. Joshua, can I have you give me your title, please?
Sure. I am Joshua Roberts, Transportation Division Manager, Public Works.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, Carrie, thank you very much for yielding the time there. So kind of taking off on the heels of Carrie's work in the planning department, the community plan was adopted by our board at the end of last year. And coincidental with that update process, the Public Works Department, with the leadership of Mike Britton, has been advancing the community circulation fee study update. And the purpose of that plan, just to remind everyone, or excuse me, the purpose of the fee study, just to remind everyone, is so that it coincides with what's now shown in the adopted community plan. So we Public Works have been working with GHD. They're the transportation consultant who actually also prepared the circulation element of the community plan. They are preparing the fee study for us. I'm working with them on number one, just getting up to speed myself on where the plan is at, and working then to bring that forward to this this group for presentation, take questions, and ultimately would be looking for support from Locac before we take this to the board for adoption. And again, I'll just remind the group that the community plan itself, it related to the circulation items, is an all-encompassing document, whereas the fee study update focuses specifically on those projects that are necessary to complete the transportation network that are adversely affected by growth in the community. As you can imagine, back in 2009, when the original fee study was adopted, we didn't have a community plan at that point, and some of the population, for instance, projections have changed, and so we would be reflecting that in our study as well. Timing-wise, we're expecting to have a draft document ready for presentation at your group by midsummer. At that time, we'd be bringing forward a presentation, and what I'm hoping is that getting out an advance copy to Locac as an opportunity to ask questions that we can address as we move forward with the final report. I'm available for questions tonight. Thank you for taking my name. If you don't mind, I'll also give you my email address, which is the first initial, my first name J, R, last name Roberts. So J R Roberts at co.slo.ca.us.
Okay, Josh, thank you very much there. Are there any questions from any of the board members? Not seeing anybody. Is there any questions from anyone in the public? I think we're all going to be, I see Jeff has his hand up.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to him. Oh, okay.
Hi, this is Jeff, Jeff Krebs. Josh, question for you on doing this circulation study. One of the things that Mike had pointed out, I guess during the community plan, were some of the collector roads that were in the previous study weren't correct, and most of them are residential. How is that getting resolved now?
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for the question. I will go ahead and answer your question best I can, and I would also encourage you to shoot me an email, and I'd be happy to correspond that way as well. I think what you're asking, and check me if I'm wrong, is are you talking about the designation of those roads, or are you talking about how they are input into the circulation model?
Mostly the designation, because how they're put into the circulation model indicates how much traffic is allowed before you actually choose, or not choose, but when it's appropriate for you to then go make capital improvements and stuff.
Sure, I understand your question. So Public Works actually works via planning on those designations, and we, by and large, follow the designations that are put out by Caltrans. So Caltrans not only creates roadway designations for state highways, but Caltrans also creates mapping designations for local roadways as well. And those designations are created not just based on the amount of traffic, so volume on those roadways, but they're also a factor of the physicality of the road itself, and based on algorithms that they run regarding how much traffic you would see based on the amount of the other types of roads that are feeding into it. That's how the designations are created. And regarding how those are put into the model and the effects on that model, a collector road is just like it sounds. It's going to take traffic from local roads. And in terms of your question that you stated here about what's the timing on improvements, to be perfectly honest with you, it is within the model. We do try to, well, we've asked the consultant to, if there's any question between whether a road is designated or acts like a collector versus a local, it's actually better to default it as considered a local road, because it would come up in the model sooner as needing an improvement. And if that was the case, then you can do, a micro level review of, is this proposed improvement, or is the widening or betterment, what have you, actually necessitated?
All right.
Sorry for the long-winded answer.
Yeah, no, I'll probably take some of the stuff offline, because I've probably gotten into a lot more detail on this. Essentially, part of the issue for me is right now our metrics allow 4,000 cars a day on all the local roads, even through residential. And as we keep increasing volumes, it really impacts our quality of life. And that kind of wraps into the compact that the county has with the community. So I'll take it offline with you. I've got your email. Thanks.
Sure. Yeah. Happy to take questions. Again, it's been 12 years since we did this the last time, and it's probably going to be 12 more before we do it again. So let's get it right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Josh. Looking forward to that report when it comes up and stuff. Any other questions from members of the public?
I don't
Okay.
see any.
Okay, moving along, supervisor report. Bruce, you there somewhere? There you are.
Yep, I'm unmuting him. There we go.
I am there somewhere. Like I've said, I exist only in the ether, not in a real space any longer. But my image will project. A pleasure to be with you as always. Not a lot specific to Los Osos to relate this evening. Quite a number of things, of course, going with the county in general. We have COVID, of course, still with us. We narrowly missed getting to the less restrictive tier of orange. We needed what they call an adjusted case rate of 5.9 cases per 100,000 of population, and we ended up at 6.0. So extremely frustrating, but on we trek. We're seeing pretty flat numbers, except in a couple of cases. The city of San Luis Obispo seems to be creeping up, and the age group of 18 to 29 seems to be creeping up a little bit, but that's just the way it is. A couple of things coming to the board next Tuesday. One of them is County Clerk Recorder Tommy Gong, who is our election official, is going to bring a report on voting options. As you may remember, if you rewind all the way back just more than a year, the March primary of 2020 was conducted with a sort of what we would call a hybrid system, moving toward vote by mail balloting. We did establish some what we call vote centers, and it sort of went halfway to a system that was allowed at the time in the state. With COVID hitting full stride, the November 2020 general election was conducted with a full vote by mail system, which means every voter received a ballot in the mail, and we set up vote centers, open multiple days on the weekends to receive those ballots coming back. The question is, do we want to pursue that? We have the authority to do that for the upcoming June primary in 2022. We need to be working on it right now because there's some changes that need to be made. So the board will hear that and provide direction. We did at our meeting on Tuesday talk a little bit about redistricting. We're going to start some public outreach in the next couple months under the helpful guidance of of a consultant that's been hired on, and that's going to be part of the new system of that. But the problem that we face is that the census data is going to be late. So the release of that data is expected at the end of September this year. In theory, right now, we're supposed to have the new districts drawn as of the end of the year with an ordinance in place, which would require action by the board at the end of November. So that puts us on a very tight timeline. There may be efforts at the state to give us a little slack in that. There is some casual talk about the possibility of delaying the June 22 primary a bit, but all that's pretty speculative at this point. Just know that public input is going to be huge, and I mean an important part of this, according to new state statute that was passed since the last time we did this in 2011. Also on May 4th, which is not next Tuesday. I may have misspoken and suggested that our next meeting was next Tuesday. Our next meeting is May 4th. That's when Clerk Recorder is going to bring the voting system. We're also going to have presentation on a regional approach to addressing homelessness. Regionally organized safe parking programs, trash and sanitation programs, eventually perhaps sanctioned encampment programs, all with services provided to try to get homeless individuals on a path to permanent housing. And let me take that opportunity to thank your unhoused resident committee and some really great folks in the community for working hard on trying to come up with interim solutions. And many of those issues are going to be addressed as we move forward. Another discussion we had this past Tuesday was on American Rescue Plan, the $1.9 trillion COVID relief package that was passed previous month. At the federal level, we are pretty much on hold on that right now as we await guidance from the U.S. Treasury Department. That's coming most likely on May 10th. That's the last day they have to provide more detailed guidance on exactly what we can spend these funds on. Actually, on May 11th, we're expecting the first half of the funding, which for the unincorporated county amounts to just under $55 million. For the county as a whole, including the cities, just under $85 million. So we're, I'm working on a subcommittee with Supervisor Peshon to come up with ways in which we can sort of understand what these funding streams might be used for, and to offer some suggestions about how we can deploy these funds to the maximal benefit of our county residents. With that, as always, I can go on and on and on about all the fun stuff we're doing, but I will stop at this point in deference to what I know is a significant agenda, and happy to take your questions.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. Are there any questions from members of the committee? I'm not seeing anybody. I will open it up then to the public. Are there any questions for Bruce from members of the public? Please signify by raising your hand.
I don't see any yet. Let me scroll through in case. Wow.
Nope. Okay. Well, thank you, Bruce.
Mr. Chairman, let me just say I will hang on with you for a bit yet, but at a point I may drop off. I do have two significant meetings that I'm involved in tomorrow and need to do a little preparation for that, but I'll be around for a bit yet.
Okay, thank you very much. And if not, I'm sure Blake will let you know what's going on.
Yes, usually does.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have the CSD report.
Hey there, it's me, Chris Womack.
Hi, Chris.
Yeah, sorry. My daughter's kind of commandeered my iPad, so that's why it says Lena. It was a pretty quick meeting. We had a couple agenda items. We had a public hearing to adopt a restatement of Title II. Basically, we're updating, clarifying the language in our documents or our rules. Like we added a smartphone instead of, you can record a meeting with your smartphone, not just a recording or videotape. That's old technology. We updated that the directors have to get their compensation in within 90 days. Language was added that in order to serve on a standing committee, you have to live within the service district, except the exception is ESAC. You just have to live in the county service area to serve on ESAC. The other agenda item was we had a lot of letters from the community in favor of maintaining the polystyrene ordinance. The SLO County Integrated Waste Management was choosing not to enforce. What was interesting is that our general counsel for the CSD is also general counsel for the IWMA. And he was saying it wasn't that they were in favor of polystyrene, but they were just choosing to enforce things that they felt it may not have been within their purview, that they were trying to enforce things that are, coming down from the state. But I can tell you, judging from all the letters and the people that came to speak to us, many in the community feel otherwise, and would like the polystyrene ban enforced. That's basically styrofoam. It never degrades. It just breaks down into smaller and smaller pieces, and fish and wildlife eat it. Anyway, so the board voted in favor, and we wrote a letter in support of enforcing the polystyrene ban. And then we just did the regular receive and file of the committee reports. And we completed a disposal of surplus equipment valued at less than $1,000. So it wasn't a lot of money that was brought in, but apparently it was a lot of room in the work yard or in the water yard that got cleared up. So, and they made some money, but anyway, that is what happened this month.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Are there any questions from members of the board for the CSD? Any questions for members of the public for the CSD? Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Next we have the Chamber of Commerce. Do you have somebody here from the Chamber of Commerce? Oh, Lynette.
Yes, the chamber office is still closed. However, in the background, various committees are continuing to plan some actual events this year. So as soon as it's safe to do so, we will let you know where and when those events might be. The new chamber directory is on target to come out in June. And thanks to a member of this audience, the map is back in the middle of the book. And I would just like to thank publicly the many photographers, local photographers, you all know them from next door, who have contributed fabulous photos. And you will be very pleased to see them when the directory comes out. And it's just a short report. That's it.
Okay, thanks very much. Any questions for Chamber of Commerce from members of the board, from members of the public? Well, we know the Chamber of Commerce is out there doing some really good work for the community here. So again, we thank them very much. And looking forward to seeing all those pictures too. So next we have comments from the public for items that are not on the agenda. For any members of the public that would like to make a statement or make a question or.
Yep, I see Jeff Edwards.
Please raise your hand and you'll have 3 minutes to say whatever you'd like, and remember, do it in a kind, courteous fashion.
Okay. Jeff Edwards, I unmuted.
Good evening.
Okay,
My name is Jeff Edwards.
Yeah, hi, Jeff. Go ahead.
And I wanted to bring something that's kind of a growing problem in my view in the community, and something I'm concerned about, and that's town clutter. I'm not sure if everyone's really recognized, but there's been a proliferation of, I'll just call it clutter, for lack of a better term. We have an increasing and proliferation of containers. This is in residential neighborhoods. Containers, storage sheds, lean-tos, cars, RVs, some of them occupied, some of them not. I'd like to see Locac take an interest in what our community looks like and how we take pride in our community. In fact, I'd like to see a reoccurring agenda item for Locac to encourage people to do the simplest of things, like pulling weeds in their yard. If you drive up and down Baywood, I mean, there's stuff everywhere. And I don't think it really lends itself to again, community pride or visitors that come to see Los Osos and experience Los Osos. So again, I'd like to see a more active role on the part of Locac in what our town looks like. And so that's my comment. And I'm hopeful that we will see something in the future where we can kind of, not so much on a code enforcement level, but maybe encourage people to clean up. And maybe the spring cleaning would be a theme. But, you know, some cases may have to go to code enforcement. Drive around, take a look, see if you don't see what I see. Thank you.
And
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
Eve has her hand up. I'll unmute her.
I just wanted to call attention to something that I didn't mention last time, but I think it's really exciting to see the stance that the Coastal Commission staff has been taking related to the future of Los Osos with regard to the appeal of the accessory dwelling units and the industrial land use that was proposed for the Fairchild site. So if you haven't had a chance to look at what they've said about the environmentally sensitive habitat area and about the water issues, I encourage you to take a look at their site. And I really appreciate that Patrick McGibney gave a statement at the last meeting. And I think the sustainability group is doing an outstanding job. And I encourage everybody to support them and be paying attention to the importance of understanding the vulnerability of our groundwater, especially now that also the drought seems to be intensifying as far as the direction for the future of Los Osos.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anybody else that had a question or would like to make a statement?
I don't see anyone.
Okay, then moving along, we have the minutes from our last meeting, February 25th. I hope everyone has had a chance to look at them. Do we have an approval to accept the minutes?
I'll move to accept the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Second.
Okay,
No seconds.
okay, everyone, don't rush all at once. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anyone abstaining or opposed? No? Okay. Then moving right along, we have the treasury report. Christine, it's your turn again.
My turn. Okay, the bank statement says we have $1,772.93, but it came out before I wrote a check to Sandra, so I can't tell till next month if she cashed it. But if she did, our balance is $1,742.95.
Okay. The question, oh, go ahead.
I just want to mention, you guys are going to need a new treasurer come June, I guess. So just think about who wants to. I'm happy to, you know, help with that.
Okay, well, I'm sure somebody's going to want to be trained. So I'm sure we'll find that. Also, the question came up today is that if we ever do hold public meetings again, I guess there's money in the funds to give to Sea Pines to get the room again.
Yes, I mean, that's mostly what most of our budget goes for is the meeting rooms. So
Yeah, okay.
Zoom is a
told her,
lot less. And,
yeah.
and we get a deal on those meeting rooms too.
Yeah,
So.
and I told the person I don't expect real soon to have public meetings.
Oh,
But,
it might be, the state's supposed to open up in June. So it could be as soon as July.
Well, let's hope so. Everyone get their shot so we can open up sooner, you know. Okay, thank you, Chris. Committee reports. I also run land use, but I got a couple items down the list here I'll be discussing. Not much else. Well, there's a lot going on in land use, but we'll talk about that later. Traffic and circulation. Jan, do you have anything?
Not anything specific. As usual, if you notice something with the roads or vegetation around corners or anything, you want to call 805-781-5252. I'll be working with Josh so that when that circulation study, fee study comes up, we'll do some kind of Zoom thing. So be watching for that. But other than that, there's nothing happening. Again, if you have a concern, that number is 805-781-5252. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jen, very much. And then you'll be helping us later here. Then we have tree and landscape, Gail.
Yes, hi. Trees and Landscape has been continue working on the El Moro bicycle and walking trail. It's a long-term project. So right now I have very little to report other than that we are working on getting the permits that will allow us to start working on revitalizing the trail. And by that time we'll be ready to call for volunteers and get work done. But for now, we're still working on getting the permits.
Okay, good luck on that. Are there any questions for tree and landscape?
No.
No, okay. Moving on to outreach. Sandra, it's your turn.
Not much to update. I still try to get the newsletter out a couple times a month. If the public has any community worthy news they want to share, issues they want to share, just please reach out and I'll try to get it in there.
Okay, I just want to thank, I do appreciate it every time it does come out and it looks very nice and professional. So
it does take time.
You do a good job. So then we go to Unhoused Residents Forum. Yael, it's your turn again.
Right, so our committee of the unhoused residents is also working very hard. This is probably one of the most challenging work I've done here in Locac, and we have some very dedicated committee members from Locac and from the public. And right now we've been working on providing the basic services to the residents on the Palisades Avenue. What we've been successful with is trash collection. We've been working with the library on using their area to collect at least twice a week trash from the residents, and they cooperating with us really nicely. The other areas that we'll have to provide them with is showers, which we are not as successful yet, and we're working to keep the bathrooms in the park open at night without having to get cited for trespassing in after dusk. And then we're also working on long-term solution, which there's nothing yet to report about that.
Okay, but if something comes up, I'm sure you'll let us know.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks very much. So moving on to our regular agenda now. Now we have that presentation
hold
for
up.
public work. Oh,
I
the
think I'm
election
supposed to
committee.
say a little something.
Oh, the election committee. I'm sorry, Chris.
Oh, it's just short. So absentee ballots are now available. The committee has decided to hand deliver. Last time I did it, it was just a handful. But please get the word out if you have friends that live in District 4 to vote. Hopefully in person. It's May 15th, I believe, 8 o'clock till 4 o'clock at the South Bay Community Center under the awning.
Okay, good. And to everybody out there, get out and vote. We all went out and voted June 6th. This is another important election time for our local community here. Thanks again. Now moving on to the regular agenda, Public Works and 5-year capital plan.
Yeah, this is Jan Harper. I just wanted
Yeah,
to,
Jan.
I just wanted to introduce John Waddell. He'll be doing the presentation. This was a request or an interest of a couple of transportation people. And then I think since we haven't been having meetings, this was probably the best venue. Plus there was a lot of interest in Locac, the board. So I'd like to just introduce John Waddell and take it away, John.
Okay, thank you, Jan. And if you wouldn't mind unmuting Josh Roberts as well. I'm going to give the presentation, but just that way when at the end we have questions that might come up. So
Yeah,
let me go ahead.
John, could you give me your title again? Sorry.
Deputy Public Works Director.
Thank you.
John, are you going to need to share your screen or anything?
Yes, and I want to share my screen. So
okay,
give me a second here.
Are you able to do it? Do you have, I can't find you on my list. Oh, there you
See if I can get that turned on here. It's not able right now.
Larry, I think you might have to, as co-host, I might not be able to let him share his screen. You might have to do that.
I got it. It's checked off here. One participant can share at a time. Advanced sharing, one participant who can share. Okay, here we go. All participants who can start sharing when someone else is sharing. Okay, try it now.
Okay, there we go. I'll say this one. There we go. Do you see the PowerPoint now?
No.
Not yet.
Oh, it's starting.
Oh.
There it is.
There we go.
Very good. All right, bear with me here. Oops. 1 second. All right. Looks like we're up. So great. So yeah, the 5-year capital improvement plan is something we do an update we give to the board every year. So I'm going to run through it over the next few minutes in a few slides. And here's the outline, just a summary of what the plan is, our process for establishing the capital improvement plan, just touch on the current projects for SOSOS, and then what the inputs are, how it's developed and what's its function, and then our next steps. So just a summary, what is the 5-year capital improvement plan? It sets out the county's intended construction program for significant facilities and infrastructure projects over the upcoming 5-year timeframe. This is required by state law that county agencies have this plan that's updated annually and approved by the Board of Supervisors. The capital projects that are covered are those that are over $100,000. So the facilities projects, typical projects include libraries, office space for county offices, jail and public safety, which is would include communication vaults, towers, and other things like that. And then parks, and campgrounds, airports, and San Luis Airport is a major driver right now in our capital improvement plan. For infrastructure, the improvements to roads, bridges, water and wastewater systems, flood control structures, and items like that, infrastructure. So it's a planning guide, and so things do change year over year, and so something that's in there, maybe things change, and so it does not stay in there through completion if the plans do change. But the goals are really to develop this consistency on an annual process, to coordinate the planning and development of projects, and then also to enhance coordination and communication with other county departments who are a big part of this plan, and other entities that are involved in development of capital projects or in just development throughout our county. And also when there's also the alignment of our infrastructure and facilities projects and how those work together, so increasing that coordination. And then the coordination with adopted land use plans, like the Los Osos community plan, for instance, and those type of policies. And then that helps establish requirements for new developments and subdivisions. So, really it increases opportunities to identify funding and align the funding sources that are necessary to complete the development. And so finally, there's an increased public awareness of the planned projects, so the public and our community partners like yourself at Locac can see what's upcoming. So, and this annual plan is included on our county website. We have it on our county public works website, right on the front page. You open public works, there's a number of the menu of a number of quick links, and that's one of those right there. And when you get in there, projects are listed by what's called functional area. It's kind of broken down between infrastructure and facilities. There's charts and data by community, by types of projects. There's a number of ways to look at it on a big level. And then there's actually a separate link to individual project sheets for each project in the plan. So just another graphic on what it is. This is not a static plan. Every year as it's updated, it's looking at that year and the next 5 years going forward. So it's being updated and pushed forward every year. And and then going forward, some projects may begin earlier or later than originally planned, and then those changes are noted in future year updates. And so like a lot of multi-year planning processes, looking out in the future, more is known about the most current years at the beginning of the plan than out in the future. So there's the number of planned projects 4 and 5 years out. There's a lot less that are planned just because those aren't known. And then as those years become closer, the information becomes more clear. So it's a planning tool. This identifies major projects over that 5-year time frame. And then it's also used to track the progress of projects over time. So projects that are included typically have established funding or reasonable certainty that the funding will become available. Does not include smaller projects like road repairs and minor maintenance. Those are handled through our annual budget process and through our maintenance budgets. So, and then there will always be projects of opportunity that arise during the year when funding becomes available or when something kind of an emergency comes up or an opportunity. And so then these would be brought to the board mid-year and then be approved, and then they'd be added to the plan in the next update. So here's just a graphic of all the inputs or all the things that go into developing this plan. And so some of the key sources or catalysts for projects to get into the plan are legal mandates from regulatory agencies, capital replacement needs for our existing systems, projects that receive federal and state grants, and then also, in addition to the planning documents, such as specific plans, community plans, master plans, like master plans for systems like water and wastewater utilities, and then circulation plans and road improvement fee driven projects, which come out of the community plan. And those, they indicate the need for new infrastructure due to growth. So the funding sources are not typically from the county general fund budget. Those are more of an operating budget. Funding sources includes service charges, road improvement fees, development fees, grants, state and federal grants, also special assessments, and then designated programs. If there's designated replacement deserves, there's state programs, or even planned debt financing. So then these projects go through a review process at the county. It involves the requesting departments within the county. We have a capital improvement project executive steering committee that reviews those as we start putting each annual plan into place. And so if the projects are deemed viable and consistent with our county's priorities, and if environmental approval and funding are obtainable, then the projects can proceed and be included in the plan to then be adopted and approved by the Board of Supervisors. So looking at Los Osos, currently there are not a lot of projects in Los Osos. In prior years, we've had some major improvements. Besides the Los Osos wastewater project, there's been others in past years. But right now, a couple projects that are either completed or in progress are repairs to the sheriff's substation there on 10th Street, and then a road repair on Turry Road, a slip out repair. And then upcoming are next summer is planned to put in some sidewalks around Baywood Elementary, and that's a federal Safe Routes to School grant program. And then the South Bay Bridge replacement, which is a major project, multi-million-dollar, to replace that bridge. And construction is expected to begin in about 3 to 4 years. And so really the three projects, just want to point out that the three road projects on this are all our federal grant program funded. And the Turry Road one is a FEMA project from storm damage from a few years ago. So, kind of getting down in more detail, some of the specific inputs to the 5-year CIP. And so the community plan is one, especially in recently in Los Osos, just adopted in December. And, the community plan, establishes land use or in other words, development priorities, which then drive the need for either public facilities, such as schools and parks, and also circulation. So looking really at road and intersection improvements, looking at level of service for traffic, and then infrastructure. An example of that is water and sewer capacity for planned development. Josh touched on the circulation study earlier, and really it's a technical analysis looking at that level of service impacts to our road network due to planned growth, and then developing those lists of projects related to that based on levels of service, prioritizing them, identifying funding sources, which these are primarily funded from road improvement fees, or in some cases, the developer actually completes the improvements as part of their development or subdivision. So really is, the growth is commonly the driver of those needs, and then also the growth through the fees or developers' work is actually what provides the mitigation to those impacts. The key things are master plans for utilities, again, planning for either to serve new development or long-term capital improvement plans, and what are called facility condition assessments. And that's what the county does those on all of our facilities. And really that's more maintenance driven, but sometimes those are larger capitalized projects. And then that either, preserving the facility, expanding capacity, or doing upgrades just necessary for growth or again for service life. So next steps, specifically related to Los Osos. Josh earlier touched on the circulation study update that's in the works. So that updated study will incorporate the 2020 community plan, update assumptions from 2009 study and reevaluating those priorities. Another goal of our circulation studies around the county is making sure those are aligned with the county bikeways plan. As Josh said, the draft study is expected to be ready for review this summer, and we'll be working with you and looking forward to presenting it at Locac for your input at that time. And a couple other inputs are water and wastewater utilities, and just that ongoing coordination with those other service providers. And so as utility projects are planned or funded, they'll be included in future years. Same with facilities like parks and libraries, as those departments bring projects forward, they'll be included in future 5-year CIPs. So that really wraps up my overview of the 5-year CIP process. As I said, it's on our department website if you want to review it in detail, and myself or Josh are happy to answer and take any questions.
Okay, thanks very much. That was a very nice presentation. Are there any questions from members of the board? I'm not, oh, Lindy.
There's other questions up for people not
Oh,
on the board.
Okay, I'll let you handle that then.
Okay. So I saw Jeff's hand. I will ask to unmute, and then Lindy.
Thanks. Appreciate that. I was one of the ones that actually was hoping that you were able to bring this to Locac, and so the community could kind of see the process a little bit more. I did want to understand it myself. And I've reviewed the plan itself. And a couple things, I guess, struck me that I'm trying to understand how we would get these items into the plan. I'm assuming you have, or the county has, reserves for drainage, and this all kind of comes back to roads and mobility and being able to use the things. But I know when we were putting the sewer in, there was several locations that needed drainage work, and it was kind of held off. Where now I look out on this 5-year plan and I see no drainage work even forecasted to be done. And we're getting discharges in the bay, which are unfiltered or untreated, and that's been going on. And so I don't see anything there. And so that would be one of them. The other one that kind of bothers me is we're not getting any traction with Parks and Rec trails. And again, what you're going to find when you look at the 2020 community plan, frankly, the trails are all the same, except for one or two perhaps. And so we're not getting any traction there within the different groups. And I realize you're saying, well, these all come from grants and such, but how do we get that? I see some of your projects throughout the county, and I just skimmed them. I didn't look in detail, but some of them you don't know the source of funds, and you just kind of put a TBD in. And maybe you can kind of talk through that component. And then one last one is the El Moro sidewalk project. That one puzzled me. And again, I was digging into it a little bit in the community plan. That project's been kind of deferred over 3 or 4 years. And all that project's going to do is put a sidewalk in between 8th and 9th on El Moro. And I understand the longer term strategy. The whole reason Locac was doing this was to put a sidewalk in to get to the bus stop on 7th. And again, I'm not seeing anything to put the other one block in a 5-year plan. And it's like, it almost seems like that one's not going to be useful at all. Anyway, those are kind of my thoughts.
Okay. So there's several there. So I'll do my best to remember them. But I guess I'll go back to the beginning with drainage. During the construction of the Los Osos sewer project, we had one of our coastal conditions was to I don't know, I forgot, I don't remember the nexus, but to implement LID type improvements. And at that time, just with all the deferred maintenance on roads and impacts to roads, we were able to leverage some roads funds to put in a significant amount of funds for drainage improvements within the roadways. And those were the underground infiltrators. And so we targeted areas that had local standing water issues, kind of sumps, low spots that didn't drain to anywhere, that we could put in those that were basically keeping our roads were being flooded for, several days or weeks during the rainy season. So we could get that water underground and infiltrated. So we're, addressing kind of multiple issues there and leveraging road funds. So we were able to do that. I know for years there's been other drainage issues. I'm forgetting the name of the road, but kind of a significant drainage issue along, is it Ramona, I think? But that is, some of those roads aren't even within our county maintained road system. So we would not have any kind of funding nexus with roads. Also, the county is responsible for road drainage related to our roadways, but the overall community drainage is in the CSD's, community service districts jurisdiction.
Oh.
And there's always been funding issues, and there are historic drainage courses that run through Los Osos, that of course were not considered when the community was subdivided only over 100 years ago. So, while we as a community have done what we can to, convey that water through roadways and other things, there are existing drainage courses that, the water still needs to travel through. As far as trails and parks, I really don't know the answer to that, other than kind of, as you mentioned, most of the funding for those types of things ends up coming from grants or other outside sources. As I said in the presentation, the county general fund typically does not fund capital projects. It's more for operating costs. And let's see, question on just funding for projects that are in our plan. Some are TBD, and that is true. And so some of those are, they are in the plan, they're viable projects, and we are looking for grant money. Others have, we know that, like on bridge projects or other major projects, we know that there's funding that is available through state and federal grants. It just has not, and we've applied for it or planning to apply for it when the time is right. It just has not been awarded yet. But it's likely to get funding. There's a reasonable likelihood to get funding.
One other question on grants. Just as a county process, does Public Works have like a grant group for the variety of types, or does each function have to go find their own grants?
Really we function, kind of within our different units. So water and wastewater, utilities, they're looking for grants in that area. That's their area of expertise. In transportation, we really partner with Locac, which is our, county-wide cooperative transportation funding agency. And so it coordinates county-wide with also with the cities. So that way we can really leverage. There's a lot of funding that's regularly available, whether it's grant or other state programs. And so that's really the cooperative way that those funds are allocated to priorities throughout the county. And they're a great partner in looking for grants. And you had questions about the El Morro sidewalk, and that is through federal grant program. I'm not as familiar with that project in particular. So it was developed and planned a few years ago, but those typically those projects are really looking for those really targeted areas that the improvements can make some big safety gains for students walking to school, but they do not end up funding a big area that goes just beyond the immediate area of the school.
All right, that helps. Thank you.
And then Lindy had a question. Let me just find you, Lindy. There you are.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, Lindy.
Good to see you. I had a couple of questions as far as the safe route to schools and sidewalk issue, the El Morro bike and walkway. After it was developed, there was no maintenance program put into effect. And so we're currently on Tree and Landscape looking at having to do all this ourselves, which is to fund a snail study get the coordination of approval to go in and pull weeds and tend to the oak trees that are left, as well as hopefully plant new stuff. I wonder, it seems like that should be something that the county could help us with, at least provide some of those expenses. We can do the labor. So I wondered if that's one question. And then another one, well, there's a drainage problem on 10th and Santa Ynez, which I know you know about. The street is unwalkable and it is a main walkway for a lot of pedestrians. So that year after year, we all kind of just learn to take a long route around it. So that, and as you know, I think on 11th and Santa Ynez, there's also a big one in front of Sylvester's Burgers. There's a really bad drainage area. So hopefully those could be looked at in the future. And then my third point was looking at this 5-year plan. I'm wondering, under public safety in campgrounds and parks, if the county is looking at any addressing homelessness by setting aside properties, purchasing properties, getting grants to purchase properties, because it's a growing problem and there seems to be no solution. But until there is property assigned, purchased, and assistance from the county to do that, our homeless are now living, kind of in places that invade our park, our tennis courts, our church, community center. So I wonder if that's something that's been brought up, because every community has it. And I think it needs to be added into the planning, because it should have been thought about, 15 years ago. So those are my 3. Thank you.
Okay. Well, so just kind of going backwards, just start with the homeless issues. Understand, but I'm not involved in that, and in public works we're not, so I can't really speak to that. I know that it's our social services and other departments are very focused on serving the homeless, but I don't have any details on what their near-term or long-term plans are. Understand about the drainage issue on Santa Ynez, and we do what we can, especially when we're doing other improvements in the area, if we can solve some local drainage issues. But as you said, like I was saying before, there are some low spots that are problem areas, and in Los Osos, there's some areas that just don't have anywhere to drain because of the topography. But I'll note that one. And then on your first point about, are you talking about a past Safe Routes to School sidewalk project?
Yeah, it was grant funded with Safe Walk to School monies, and but it never had a maintenance program put in. So it's been, I think, I can't remember, 12 or 15 years, and Tree and Landscape has been focusing on trying to get in and get the weeds out, help the oaks that are still surviving, and plant new native plants. But we have to do it all on our own as a community and raise the money for it. I wonder if that's something that could be put in to get some help from the county to cover the cost. We'll do the labor.
Yeah. So in most situations, sidewalks are 100% responsibility of the property owner to install and maintain them. And then everything.
It's not a sidewalk, it's a walkway.
Walkway.
Actually,
on a bike path.
Yeah, it's a walk and bike path.
Okay, so the bike path from the El Moro bike path going.
Right.
Yeah. That is a Parks facility that Parks maintains it. And I'm not sure what the maintenance arrangement is or was on that, like when it was constructed and how that went.
There is none. But this capital funding is about parks also, right? And camping. That's why I asked about homeless, possibility of looking at homeless properties and the assistance with the bikeway.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a process for developing or putting forward capital improvement projects that get then, once they are, a need is established and funding is feasible, that's kind of when, and then it goes through that process. So, for trails, parks facilities, that's with parks. They have priorities throughout the county. So, which parks or trails are, in need of bigger investments. That's really part of that process. And, where would the funding to do that come from? Similarly with homeless, if there's an initiative that targets, buying homes or hotels or whatever else comes out of that, and there was funding that was identified, then, that would potentially become a CIP project that would go in the plan. But, again,
So is this a time to present projects that the community sees as needs? Is this the time that we could present something and then, or is the plan done and you're just going to be voting?
Well, the plan's updated every year, and it has inputs from a large range of there's a large range of inputs, whether it's regulatory mandates or development related needs, grants that may become available. Like, say, if there's a grant to build a homeless shelter or something like that that's available and the county's going to take it on, then that would become a project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have one
Were there
question.
any?
Oh yeah, can I ask a question? So when the plan is up for review, is there a time where you would come to Locac, for example, and ask for community input before you're updating the plan for the year?
Not specifically on the 5-year. The 5-year CIP plan is really, again, it's as I said, it's a regulatory state requirement to publish this plan, and it is really just a compilation of projects that have come from other initiatives, right? So again, in the public works world, the community plan, and which then is and kind of has the details filled in through the circulation study. Those are what then would drive one of the points that would drive road improvements for that may be a capital project. Really, the 5-year CIP is really a reporting document. So okay. It's reporting.
So if the community had specific projects they wanted worked on, they would have to go to those specific agencies, which would then feed into the decisions that you make for the 5-year plan. I'm just trying to understand process so that if people do want certain things worked on, is it agency specific or?
Right, it would be, yes. So the parks amenities really would be through, I guess would be the Parks Commission, if I'm correct. I'm not that involved with it, but something like that.
Okay. Oh, I see one more question.
Oh, I have a question. But does someone else have one?
Go ahead, Chris.
I'm just curious, what were past projects that you guys completed? Not like, was the skate park one?
Oh, I would expect it was. Again, this is like I said, a reporting document. So as we in past years had developed, had put forward projects that were viable and funded and planning to be constructed, they would have been in this 5-year plan, as it is a reporting document. And then once the project's complete, then it's done and it's off the plan.
So what else were past projects that were done?
Well, I would just any project that's that's more than $100,000 capital improvement project, signalization of intersections, that would be skate park, obviously, major projects like the wastewater project, just any number of projects that would have been part of that plan at that time.
Okay, I was just curious. Thanks.
Oh, there's one more question from Jeff.
Yeah, this is kind of coming back to Josh probably, and it ties in because the circulation stuff and those capital things will go forward. The California State now actually isn't using LOS as a measure, and they're starting to use this vehicle miles traveled and local mobility analysis. Is that going to be incorporated in this new circulation study or what?
No, the board of, thanks for your question. The Board of Supervisors is retaining LOS as a congestion impact from development. The vehicle miles traveled is a separate metric. It's a review under CEQA, impacts to the environment from travel versus congestion, frankly, as an annoyance, is no longer considered a environmental impact. However, congestion is obviously tied to air quality, and I'm not a VMT expert, but back to your question about are we going to retain that metric? Yes, for the time being, all of our AB 1600 studies, our circulation fee nexus studies, will use level of service, or LOS, as the metric.
But when Morro Shores, if it were to go forward, or that area, that big block of land that will have significant development, it will require another CEQA study. Is that correct?
It won't require another CEQA study so much as the LOS analysis would be a part of their various analysis under CEQA.
Okay.
We would additionally require, however, to meet county standards for development, municipalities are afforded the right to impose additional requirements above and beyond outside of CEQA. So, for instance, the board's continuance and adoption of level of service policy, and to meet county standards, we would still require a traffic analysis review those.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I don't see any more questions at the moment. So I'd like to thank you for your presentation and answering some of the questions. I'm sure when you come back in the summertime with the new study, there might be a few more questions, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, well, thank you for having us, and thank you for the excellent questions.
Okay, John. Okay, I do have to make an adjustment here real quick before we go on to the next item on the agenda. Somebody brought to my attention that during the election committee report, I didn't open it up to the public. So for a minute here, I was going to open up the election committee report by Christine Womack. And there was one member of the public that wanted to say something, I think.
Steve, I think.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, Chris. Good evening. Got a question for you. A couple of questions, I think. We had a late entry into the election in the 4th district. So I was wondering if you could talk about that and the deadline.
We had 2 late entries. One of them was for District 2, came in late, and we had no one else running. And so we accepted that one. And then we had another one in District 4, and the election committee decided to accept that as well.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the that conversation and why they decided to do that?
I don't think that this is an appropriate time to get into this.
Well, sure it is, Larry. This is the elections committee reporting out, and I've got questions.
But if they make choices, that's their choices that they make. Am I somebody else on Locac? Am I right, or?
No, you are correct. I mean, I'm part of the election committee, and the election committee, we had no one at all for District 2. we had a late person coming in for District 2 when we had someone for District 4 that was 24 hours late. We included that person in the same way as we included the District 2.
So.
And that was the stance of the election committee.
Right.
You're not going to quit. In our bylaws, you do not question the decisions that our committees make.
No, I was just wondering about the logic, because a
I
deadline.
think it was, we're allowing District 4 to decide. I mean, it's for the voters to decide.
Well,
yes.
Well, you guys put down a deadline. Doesn't deadline mean deadline? I guess it's kind of the crux of it all.
We're a community here, and we're trying to get as much participation in our community as we can.
Okay, fair enough. I don't think it's fair. So I just want to go on record for that. It's not right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Jed. Do you have any other questions or statements you want to make?
I was just wondering about the outreach for the unopposed districts. If you could walk us through what efforts were made in that regard.
Everything was posted on the website, and it was also posted on the newsletters. So every district received the same amount of outreach as far as on our end of how we put it out there. Okay. And those are the main vehicles we have to get to the community.
Okay. Right? All right, great. All right, that's all I had. I appreciate everybody's time.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, now moving along, we've got a project here, Valen. You want to have permit to build a house?
There's a hand raised, sorry, before we wanted to go into that. Looks like there's a hand.
Oh.
Robert Kreiser, I just asked to unmute you. You should be able to unmute.
Hello there. This is Bob Kreiser. Am I being heard?
Yeah. Yes.
The project of Lean Residence is located at 201 Madera Street. And this project is single family residence for a local family that's been part of our community for many years. The project's been designed to meet county standards, to get a building permit, and to build their dream home. All bio work, archaeological work, soils work as required by the county have been done, and no impact to habitat. I'm aware that the Land Use Committee has voted not to support this family's home, even though the design and permit issues have been met. For Locac to support the land use decision is to clearly step around the county rules that have been met and restrict the Valine family from moving into their dream home. The property owners, prior to purchase the property, researched the county rules and to build county rules to build, and after being secure that they could get a building permit, they purchased the property. To vote against the project that they purchased, knowing the rules, and then vote against them is on the borderline of a taking. At this point, if Locac does not support county rules, they need to focus on working with the county to adjust the rules, not block those property owners who have followed those rules to get a permit. In closing, I respectfully request that Locac vote to support the Valine residents that does meet all permit requirements per the County of San Luis Obispo. I thank you for your service, and I look forward to your vote.
Okay, do we have any questions from board members for Mr. Kreiser?
Yeah, this is Tim Carstairs. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just like to say that I agree with Mr. Kreiser. The rules of the county state that they're allowed to build. And so I really don't see a reason why this board or any board with the rules should disagree with it.
Okay, I see Jan Harper's got her hand up.
Yeah, I asked her to unmute.
Okay, I guess I'd like to know what the issue or issues are from the LUC committee about why they don't want to recommend approval.
The land use committee, and I'll speak as chairman of the land use committee, is concerned about our water. And we're discussing it and going over lots of things. And it was just, that's why we passed it on to Locac, because the county keeps adding 1 and 2 here and there. More houses to keep tapping into our water supply, and we're beginning to be concerned about our water supply. That was the main thing from land use. That's why we passed it on here. We respect the person's application, Bob's Kreiser's, as representative for it. And so instead of us making a decision, we were going to let let Locac make the decision.
Okay, but this is Jan again. So aren't there specific rules with counterbalancing 2-to-1 or 1-to-1 or all that kind of stuff that have to go along? Because these people are not in the prohibition zone. So I'm in confusion on this. I feel a little bit like Tim is talking, but at the same time, I'd like to understand it a little better.
What it is, Locac is just an advisory council. We don't make standards. If new construction, they have all these rules they have to follow, and that's with the county planning department. And this person has made all those things, but the county keeps adding houses to our community, and they have not proved in our community that we have a stable water supply. So we're just making a comment. We're concerned about our water. Again, we're not denying them that they can't build the house. We're not, because we have no standing that way. It's hard to support, and it's not the person, it's hard to support our county that allows this kind of building to go on. And we just wanted to make a statement.
Okay. But it's my understanding that Golden State Water is the water supplier for Cabrillo Estates. And it's my understanding that Golden State Water has told me that they have the water, it's there, it's clean, it's ready to go. There's a lot of it ready to go. I know there's a lot of different organizations out there, and I respect, the research and everything that they're doing, but Golden State has made it clear that they do have the water available to these lots. And, they're the supplier of the water, and they're willing to give the certificate to the occupants. So I think for this board to deny an application that the county is going to allow anyway is really not doing a service to this board.
May I say something?
Yeah, hold on. If you could raise your hand, because there's lots of even council members that want to raise their hands. So, and then Derek, we'll go through council members first, and then we'll get to public, unless Larry, you want to do it different. So I think, Yael had her,
Council members first.
Yeah, okay. So Yael had her hand raised, and then Lynette, and then Jim. Okay, Yael.
The issue that land use has with the water supply is very simple. We don't have enough water, and the prohibition zone is still under moratorium. Knowing that we are all drawing from the same pool of water, we are kind of questioning why only the prohibition zone is not allowed. Because if it's the same water and if we don't have water, then why would Cabrillo Estate will draw it? Why other areas will? We have nothing against the applicant, and we really appreciate everything that you've done. But we have to send a message to the county and to the purveyors, because they, in their report, from what we know, they state that there is not enough water. So we are really basing it on the well-being of the whole area of all of Los Osos. We have nothing against a particular applicant. And this is our message in our work that we have to pick up with the county. You're right, it's not necessarily with the applicant. We have to have this conversation with the county. What are we going to do about the water? We cannot just limit one area and not others when we have all the same resource of water. That's all.
Okay, and then next was Lynette.
Yes, I would suggest we follow Bob Kreiser's suggestion that we go directly to the county instead of through Mr. Valine. That just doesn't seem fair to me. I feel like people need to attend the Basin Management Committee to understand what the problems are. It just doesn't seem fair to me that we're taking it out on this one person when we should be directing this to the county through the Basin Management Committee. We have the county right there and all the water purveyors as well. So I see that we're going to be having a discussion from the Basin Management Committee in June. So I think we should listen to that first before we pass judgment on this one project.
Okay, and Jim, you were next.
I just want to concur with Tim and Bob that it seems to me that everything by the rules has been done. And so I think the project should be approved. I respect Larry and what the land use committee is trying to do. It seems to me is an issue that needs to be taken up with the county because they're the ones that have the final approval, as Larry says. Only advisory. Our advice has to do with our water, limited water. I think to hold this project up would not be fair.
Is there any other council members? I'll say something before, unless there's other council members. Okay, I just want to say, yeah, I mean, I am still learning a lot on the issue. I think it is an issue we are taking up with the county. We have been communicating with the county. Everyone is pulling from the same water. I think there's an inequity that only there is a prohibition zone and then only another area can all pull from the same water. So while there is the 2-to-1 ratio, while there are things in place, I think ultimately there is concern that overall there is just not enough water. So it is not taking it out on anybody that wants to build. And we've also want to work with the county to say they need to be more transparent in the fact that it's always a risk when going through the process and the building permits. So while I don't have a formulated opinion yet, the big issue is water overall and how the entire community, some can pull from it to build, some can't. Okay, so now there's the community voices.
I just one very small point to add, please, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
The minor use permit does have a discretionary advice ability for land use. So just because we advising not to give the permit does not mean that they will not, but we do have the discretionary ability to do that. And we are sending the county a message, and we will take it up with the county. But I think that this is a very strong message for people to start thinking about our water resources and take the responsibility as well. Thank you.
Okay, and then I think, so from the community, I see, whoops, I just lost you. Derek, were you? Yeah, okay. You should be able to unmute now.
Hi, you can hear me?
Yeah.
So this is my project. Appreciate Bob speaking on my behalf. And a lot's been said already, but a couple things I do want to bring up is, as Bob said, we are 37-year residents of the community. Our children were born and raised here and went to school here. We have a vested interest in the community. We have already completed our Title 19 water retrofits, our 2-to-1 offsets. We have a Title 19 certificate on the property. Again, we've done all the requirements. We've met everything, and I really do appreciate the concerns for our water supply. And as Bob said, and actually as Yale said, this making a statement to the county, I don't think this is the appropriate way to do it by arbitrarily denying the project. 1 month prior, a very similar project was approved on San Sebastian. And if you watch that Zoom meeting, there were no concerns raised at that time over the water basin or the water supply. So this seems very arbitrary. And while I do appreciate the concerns, if we don't think the regulations that are in place are in the best interest of the community, I think the committee ought to take up those regulations with the county and work to have those changed, but not arbitrarily disapprove a project to make a statement. Thank you.
Larry, you want me to keep going with?
Yeah,
Okay.
I see Jeff and I see a phone number.
Okay, Lindy was next.
Oh, Lindy. Okay.
Lindy, you should be unmuted. Go ahead, Lindy. No, she accidentally muted herself. Hold on. Okay.
Yeah, I am on land use as a community member, but as I recall, we made a choice because of our, I think, legitimate concern about the way that the county continues issuing permits, even though it is in the purview of people outside the prohibition to go ahead and build. I thought that we only made a comment of denial based on water use. In other words, we were not denying that the project seems to pass all the inspections other than the fact that it's almost like a protest to the county to say that the project is not the problem, the water use is the problem. And so I think, the council can vote on how they want to decide not to give that disapproval, but that was the reason that it was, the disapproval came forward, because it's beginning to be, as somebody said, left and right, new houses are going in that we have no control over. And they're all using water that we don't know if we have for a future. Thank you.
All right, the next speaker was a phone number. There's no name. I'll just ask to unmute you. 523. I can't really read this. Okay, there you go.
Good evening, it's Julie Tacker. I also have a title on the screen, but I'm using my phone. I too am on the land use committee, and I was in favor of the project. I am very sorry that my colleagues on the committee felt the need to make an example out of this project. Nice family, and they've done all they had to do per the regulations. What I'm hearing tonight from members of the council is that there's a misunderstanding about any moratorium. There is no moratorium anywhere. There are no moratoria in Los Osos. There are requirements from the Coastal Commission attached to the wastewater project that the project has to complete a habitat conservation plan, a water plan and an LCP amendment that includes those two items before new development in the prohibition zone. The areas outside the prohibition zone have had their avenue. This avenue has been taken very slowly, about 2 or 3 homes a year, and they are saving water that we are not. We aren't tapping into those homes outside the prohibition zone and implementing conservation. They are. Thank them for it. And they're doing it at great expense. So somewhere there's been misinformation given to some of these people on the council who are saying that there's some moratorium. There's not. Let this project go through. If you have, there's no message to send to the county. The county's at the table at the BMC. The county is involved. The planning department is involved. For heaven's sake, you don't need to send them a message. I think the message is you all better get educated so you don't look ridiculous in front of everyone who's been involved all along. I'm just really surprised, and I'm really sorry for the balloon. Thank you.
Okay, I think next was Jeff Edwards. I'm gonna unmute you or ask you to unmute.
Yes, good evening. My name is Jeff Edwards, and unfortunately, this appears to be another example of the land use and Locac engaging in a pattern of changing the rules as you go. And that's simply not how land use works. Moreover, regarding water, I've heard assertions that the community's out of water, that we don't have enough water, about the flood of housing that's happening. And I just have to comment that I don't believe there's anybody that is a hydrologist in the group. And
Including
you wouldn't or couldn't even review the cannabis water analysis that was advanced for that project. Yet now everybody seems to be a water expert. And I will tell you that what I've heard is really members, whether they be on land use or Locac, parroting what they've heard or perhaps read from some of the no growth interests in town. So my suggestion for the members is that you read the basin management plan, that you read the annual reports that have been ensuing since 2015-16, and attend basin management committee meetings. This water issue is becoming a focal point of all discussions. You have other agenda items that are also dealing with this, so I'll reserve my comments for that. But get educated. That's the message. Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. We have Bob Kreiser and then Patrick McGibney. Bob, you should be
Okay,
able to speak. Okay.
I just want to make one more comment regarding the water use and new homes. We have over 5,000 homes in this community. And if we allow 100 people to build homes, we use less than 0.2% of the water available. And those people have saved water for 2 homes. And each one of them, when they save water for 2 homes, they spend approximately 2 years without using any water at all. And then they finish their home and move in and use water for 1. Support the project, please.
Okay, next is Patrick McGibney. I'm going to unmute you.
Thank
Patrick?
you.
Okay.
I'm not going to comment on this project, but The next presentation is going to be on Title 19, and you may want to reserve any comments or decisions until after that presentation has been done. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much. I'll just stand by.
Thank you. All right, I'm looking for more hands. If there's any other hands. I don't see any other hands.
Well, this is Tim Carstairs. I make a motion that we approve the project.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor of the project, raise your hand. I see Jen Harper's hand is up.
I never everybody's talking. I'm gonna be sick. I'm sorry.
Do we have a count? I can't see everyone's picture.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay. All those opposed or neutral on the project?
What's one or the other, right?
I'll abstain.
Or
I want to be on record as abstaining.
abstaining? So is that it, Trish?
Larry, I didn't
Yeah,
count
very-
you. I wasn't sure what your
No.
vote was, Larry. What were you?
Support the project.
7, 8, 9. We have 10 people. We have 10 people tonight, and I have 6 in favor and 1 abstain.
So we're
So
missing.
I'm missing a few.
3.
Do you want me to do a roll call?
Sure.
Tim,
In favor?
Trish, favor. Christine,
She was a yes. I don't know where she is. But
Lynette, yes.
Yes.
Yael, abstain. Jan,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Sandra,
yes.
Jim.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
There's such a wimps, you know. I can't.
Okay, so we
Okay.
have 9 in favor, 1 abstain.
And I just
Okay.
want to comment, the reason, because it felt arbitrary, because we have recently been informed, I think we are, at least for me personally, this is something I'm going to look at and study more, but knowing that moving forward, this is going to be a serious issue. So it's not arbitrary anymore, but this is something we are wanting to move forward to make clear to the county in terms of water and new developments.
Okay. Thank you very much. And thank you, Bob and Derek Fallon. Good luck on your project.
He has his hand raised, I think. Derek, did you want to say something else?
I actually just wanted to thank everybody for their time and consideration tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Moving right along. Meeting's getting there. We have an introduction of compiled data for reference. Trish, you want to
Yes.
show everyone this wonderful thing you put together?
Yes. I don't know if you can string share it. I don't have it up on mine because I'm taking minutes tonight. But what I did is I came up with a group of us. It wasn't just me. And so we did research on the projects that we normally see in Locac, what a description of the projects are, what title do they fall under? Do they fall under Title 23? What permits are required? What's the water ratio? What are the rental time limits? What's the parking requirements and what county tasks are done? So it's a spreadsheet, is on the website. If everyone wants to take a look at it, if there were a couple changes from land use for me to add, like commercial buildings, which I have added to it. So it's just really a guideline so that if we do have questions and we don't understand what a guest house is, because we've had this concern come up in the past where we're told one thing and then when we do the research after the meeting, we find out is totally different than the contractor told us about. And I can remember that meeting very succinctly. So we came up with this. We have the descriptions. We have where you find it in Title 23, where you find it under permits. And right now we have new builds, remodels, manufactured homes, ADUs, guest houses, offices, homestays, vacation rentals, workshops, residential garages, secondary dwelling, greenhouses, decks, 8 different things under cannabis, temporary storage yard. There it is. Thank you. That one has been updated a tad. We do have hotels, motels, antennas, and things like that. So it's just a tool that I thought this group could use so that when we're at meetings and we have someone telling us one thing, we can take a look at that and say, well, we may need to do a little bit more research on it before we approve it because you're saying this and under Title 23, 23.08.this, it says that. Any questions for me? And I will be keeping this updated with whatever changes are going on with the county. And Carrie Brown went through this whole thing with us. So we did get their comments on it too.
I want to thank you. It's a beautiful job. Well done. Should be extremely helpful.
It has helped me tremendously just trying to put it together.
Yeah.
And to let everybody know, this is a growing document that is always changing and being updated. It is open to the public also. So for those in the public that need to look at anything, it's on our website, locac.info, and they can see this. And I've gone through all these documents that they've talked to you, were pages upon pages, hundreds of pages, and this is a quick, easy way to see what we're dealing with.
Yep.
So I recommend it highly. So if there's no questions or anything else, we'll move on to our next topic of discussion. Title 19 and water offsets by Patrick McGibbon and Kylie Hensley.
Oh, I think there's a question. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, good evening. This is Jeff Edwards. And before you move on to the Title 19 discussion, I just wanted to observe what I consider a paradox. And that is that it appears you're now tracking in great detail people that want to make improvements to our community. And that appears to me to stand in stark contrast to the apparent lack of interest in the unimprovements that are occurring throughout the community. So as I mentioned in my public comment on general public comment, I'd hope that Locac would focus some of their energy on cleaning up Los Osos. Thank you.
Okay, I see Kylie has her hand up. Okay, you should be able to unmute, Kylie.
Hi, Kylie Hensley, County Planning Staff. I'd just like to clarify that I'm here to answer questions and that I'm not a co-presenter with Patrick.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you for clarifying that, Kylie.
I was not aware that my name would appear on the agenda.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So moving back to that we finished our thing of the data. Now the discussion on Title 19. Patrick?
Thank you. Thank you, Larry. I like to screen share here. And I've never done this, so just give me a hand here with it.
We got you.
Okay. Just hold on for 1 second. Okay, how you doing there? Do you see that?
Yep.
Okay. Happy Earth Day, everyone. I'd like to thank Locac for inviting me to make a presentation on an issue that affects all of us. This presentation addresses Title 19 and the county's offset program, in which it says, the retrofit to build program, Title 19, requires all new development that uses water from the Los Osos groundwater basin to retrofit older plumbing fixtures in existing homes and businesses to save twice the amount of water the new development will use. What I hope to share with you is that this is not as easily accomplished as one might hope, and relying upon it is one of the factors that threatens the survival of our water basin. And I hope to answer the often asked question, if I give you one glass of water, if you give me one glass of water and I give you back two, isn't that a water savings? I apologize, but this is going to be all about numbers. And unless you're a math geek, which I am not, it may be confusing and most likely boring. But these numbers matter. Whether water from our basin is being used or saved depends on how numbers are calculated. It appears the metrics used by the county for the last decade or more have overstated the water savings by nearly a factor of 4, to the peril of our water basin. So please try to stay with me here and get out a pencil and paper. I'll try to go slow and save time for questions at the end. The pages are numbered in the upper left-hand corner. So if you'd like to see a page again, just write down the page and let me know. To start with, the metrics for the offset the county uses are taken from multiple sources. Codes and Standards estimates that a California family of 4 will use over 46,000 gallons of water per year for indoors. Our county estimates an average family in Los Osos is 2.2 persons and will use 150 gallons per day, indoor and outdoor. That 150 gallons per day multiplied by 365 days per year equals about 55,000 gallons per year for indoor and outdoor use. But the statewide number is for a family of 4. So 2.2 people would use less than 26,000 gallons per year indoors. One can figure outdoor water use in Los Osos by subtracting the indoor use from the total water use, giving us an assumed 29,000 gallons of annual outdoor water use. This is more than the estimated 26,000 gallons per year for indoor water use, which is alarming and probably not very accurate. But this is the way it seems estimates are achieved, using numbers picked from various documents and plugging them into other numbers from other documents. The county's goal is to conserve water by replacing older water-using appliances with newer, more water-efficient ones. At this time, the county is replacing older clothes washers with newer water-saving Energy Star washers. To save water for more construction, a 2-to-1 offset is required, meaning for every 1 gallon of water used, 2 gallons must be saved. What if the numbers the county is using to calculate these offsets were updated, more in line with actual water use in Los Osos? In Los Osos, the county assumes a household will use 150 gallons per day. For the offset, twice that much must be saved, 300 gallons per day. The county has been assuming we in Los Osos wash our clothes more than once a day, 392 times per year. The Energy Star website states that the average American family of 4 washes about 300 loads annually. The county's estimate of 392 washes annually for a family of 2.2 sounded a bit high, so I asked county planning where they got that figure. Kylie Hensley kindly wrote back with this: the assumption of 392 loads per year per average household in California is supported by this study. This link takes you to this document. In this document, it says, studies have shown that the average household does between 300 and 400 loads of laundry per year. But 392 in Los Osos? If Codes and Standards estimates between 300 and 400 washes per year for the average family of 4, that average should be 350. So for the 2.2 people the county estimates lives in the average Los Osos household, the average number of washes should have been estimated to be 192.5 times per year, not the 392 washes per year. But Codes and Standards actually estimates the average household of 4 washes about 300 times per year. If the average number of washes for a family of 4 is really 300 times per year, a Los Osos family of 2.2 would wash an average of 165 times per year. So after pointing out this discrepancy to county staff, this is what they determined. I think 200 loads per household per year is a more reasonable estimate for Los Osos than the 392 currently being used, and is a third less than the national average of 300. So how does the county actually calculate this? You fill out this form. They take the volume of the tub and multiply it by 7.48 to calculate how much water the tub holds. Why 7.48? That's how many gallons of water are in a cubic foot. So using 7.48 as the multiplier, a 3 cubic foot tub holds about 22 gallons of water if the tub is empty. When you load it with clothes, that much water won't fit. So in 2010, the state changed that number to 6 gallons per cubic foot. The average capacity for a clothes washing machine is 3 cubic feet, meaning a new washing machine averages 18 gallons per wash. So I asked the county to recalculate this for me, using 6 as the multiplier and 200 as the number of washes per year. This was their recalculation. Using these updated metrics, the water savings per washer is 9.8 gallons per day. So if one replacement washer saved 9.8 gallons per day, one would need to replace 31 washers, not the current 5 to 7, to meet the 2-to-1 offset target of saving 300 gallons per day. But how does this really work in real life using the county's metrics? Here's an example the county sent me of an actual approved offset. Old washers used 54.6 gallons. Replacement washers used 11.5 gallons for a calculated savings of 43.1 gallons per washer. In this example, 7 washers were replaced to achieve the offset requirement, and the total water savings is assumed to be 302 gallons. What if you were to replace the multiplier of 7.48 with 6, as it was updated by the state in 2010, and the 392 washes per year with a more reasonable 200. Using these same washers, but with updated metrics, we find that the old washer used about 22 gallons per day. The new washer remains the same at 11.5 gallons per day. The savings is less than 11 gallons per day, not 43. It would take 28 replacement washers to meet the 2 to 1 offset goal, not the 7 that were replaced. The 7 washers actually saved 76 gallons per day, not 302, a 2 to 1 offset, not 150 gallons per day, a 1 to 1 offset, but a 1 to 2 offset. We lost water on this deal and all others like it in the past and present. More water was used, not saved. It was not give me 1 glass of water and I'll give you back 2. It was give me 2 glasses of water and I'll give you back 1. To sum this up, there are too many variables and assumptions to accurately predict true water use or savings through offsets. Though conservation measures, we have all been trying to save water to protect our basin. And as conservation measures go, these replacement appliances programs can be helpful and should be applied. But without studies showing actual 2 to 1 water offsets over time, our basin is put into jeopardy by using outdated metrics as a rationale for new development. All conserved water should remain in our basin for the present population until our basin is sustainable. Thank you for your attention. I'll take any comments or questions.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Are there any questions from any of the board members?
We do have Kylie's hand up.
Sorry, I'm trying to find Kylie. Hold on, Kylie. If you can you stop the screen share? I think I'll have better luck looking. Unless you see her. Oh no, I found Kylie. Here we go. Okay.
Oh, I can wait until after the board comment. I'm not a board member.
Oh, but I don't see any board member hands up or anybody wanting to talk. So go ahead, Kylie.
I just wanted to point out that in the calculations that Patrick went through, the methodology for estimating the water use for a new washing machine, it's based on the average used by Energy Star. So it's not a directly comparable assumption, and I can talk more about that later and available for questions.
Okay, I'll refer it back to you. Any board members have any questions or comments they want to?
Yes, actually I do.
Lynette.
Yeah, I was just wondering if this has been brought before the Basin Management Committee, either in person or via letter. Has the Basin Management Committee opined on this?
Thank you, Lynette. I have invited the Basin Management Committee and their staff to this meeting tonight. This will be made available to them so they can go over that again. So they were invited tonight. I don't know if they attended or not.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? I found the presentation very informative, and I do, Trish, I see your hand up. I do think the numbers probably are a little bit more accurate, except I think the old figure of 2.2 people in Los Osos, I just saw the new census count for 2020 in Los Osos, and it shows a lot more people living here than used to live here. But Trish, go ahead. You had
I just
something
had
to
a
say?
question for Kylie. You wanted to point out that the calculation and the methodology for the new washing machine. What can you expand upon that? It sounded like you kind of started and then you just stopped. Is there more information on that you would like to present?
Sure. May I share my screen?
Sure.
Okay, one moment, please.
Patrick, I might have to ask you to unshare your screen. I think I've got it down to share one person
There you go. Thank you.
at a time. Okay. Nice picture though, Patrick. Kylie, you having any luck? Oh, there it goes.
Can you see?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the same example water saving calculation that Patrick was using, with the same assumptions indicated that he pointed out. So I just wanted to point out something about the new washing machine. Based on our current methodology, we rely on the annual water use provided by the Energy Star certification. This calculation used for the old washer, it's based on the volume of the washing machine and assuming that it fills up per cycle. But Energy Star, they have automatic sensors. So this annual water use number, it's based on the Energy Star test data, and they base it on 392 loads per year. So to be comparable, that's why this methodology currently uses the 392 loads per year. So if you were to adjust to use a 200 loads per year assumption, you would want to include a factor here that would lower this number. So the resulting savings would actually be higher because this use is based on 392 loads per year, the number that comes from Energy Star. Just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Kylie, could you put that back up for a moment, please?
Sure.
Okay. Let's go to the slide before that of the old washer. So the calculation of 7.48, the state changed that in 2010 to 6.
Yes, you said that, Patrick, in
Right.
your presentation.
Right. But so why is the county still using 7.48? And why is it using 392 loads when everyone else, including Energy Star, says that the average family washes 300 loads per year for 4 people?
So the 392 came from the test procedure from Energy Star. And as we've been discussing in our emails and phone calls that you shared, Patrick, the department is considering updating this program now that it has a potential increase in usage. As someone earlier in the meeting today mentioned, we've only had 2 or 3 homes per year being approved outside of the prohibition zone area. So we've had 70 washing machines go through and be retrofitted through this program since it was adopted, which is pretty low frequency. So because of all of the policies for the community plan and revisiting the long-term opportunities for use of this program, that's why we're updating these assumptions now.
So you're going to be changing the 392 loads to 200.
We're in the process. We're still talking to see what the most appropriate number is based on the usage data for Los Osos, as you said, there are a lot of variables to consider in trying to best estimate the water savings.
Okay. So I think the point that I was trying to make is that if the county had been using 6 as the multiplier for old washers, which was changed in 2010, that and changing the loads per laundry that were done in Los Osos, which has up until now 2.2 people. And yes, the new 2020 census is going to show that we have more people in the county, but this is what's been going on for over a decade. And if you go to your next slide for a moment. So the 11.5 wash or gallons saved was always there because the annual water use based on that new Maytag is 4,210 gallons annual water use. So that's going to stay the same. The only thing
that's based on an average national usage, Patrick. Energy Star didn't calculate that specifically for Los Osos.
Exactly. But the gallons per day for the old washer is going to change. The new gallons per day are going to stay the same. So that's where you get your change.
Patrick, the water use of a washing machine, it's a function of the efficiency and the consumption pattern. So if we're adjusting these to update to reflect the most accurate consumption pattern, this would need some sort of adjustment factor to account for Los Osos, how their consumption rate differs from the national average.
Okay, and you'll have these new adjustments up when?
I don't have a set date for you, sorry, Patrick.
Okay.
But we are working on them.
Yeah, in our conversations for several months, quite a few months ago, you said they would be done within the next week and you'd send them to me. So as soon as they come in, I would appreciate
that was
it.
a little bit ambitious. Just wanting to.
Yeah, Patrick, we don't need to put people on the spot here or anything. You know, they are updating it. Their figures are all old. We're looking forward to the new update and see if they can get a little bit closer to what actually happens here. Were there any other questions or comments or anything from people?
Bruce Gibson has a comment.
If I might, Mr. Chairman, I'd point out that the analysis you're seeing here is zeroing in on just one small component of the water offset program, and that's washing machines. The program in whole involves a lot of different fixtures: toilets, shower heads, faucets, other options that have been calculated to save a certain amount of water. And this operates on an average basis. The specific use in one household will be different from another. The staff that puts this together is always happy to re-examine the actual credit that's given from going from one sort of fixture to another, the amount that's gone from a washing machine of one sort to a washing machine of another sort. But we've done that over the years that's this been in place, and we've made some minor adjustments. The bottom line, though, is that the Title 19 water offset program is premised on the idea that there's going to be a 2-to-1 savings. And that 2-to-1 is there to be sure that the actual savings is at least 1-to-1. That has been demonstrated if you look at actually the overall water use in the community of Los Osos, not necessarily due to this program. We have absolutely seen that water conservation has reduced the draw on the basin over recent years. The other thing that in these calculations are to understand that the total water use in Los Osos is about 70% percent of the use is indoor, and only about 30% is outdoor. And the indoor use is being driven down under 50 gallons per capita per day. So there are a lot of numbers that flew by here. I just want to assure you that these numbers come from trusted sources of analysis that are applied many other places than simply in Los Osos, and that the county has full confidence that the actual effect of applying this retrofit program is at least saving as much water as a new proposed development takes. So again, staff's happy as they have time to look at adjustments. Things do change. Efficiency factors do change. New information comes to light. That's true. But the core value of this system really is not in question so far as the county's concerned. Thanks for the opportunity. I was doing a few other things while I was just listening in, and appreciate your consideration and letting me offer those comments.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. Were there any other questions or comments from members of the public or the board?
Well, we have, there's Council Chris, and then
Oh, I see a whole list.
question.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Chris.
Okay. Oh, I just wanted to comment, at least for CSD, mostly the usage has been going down. COVID, I think people are at home, so it upticked a little bit, but instead of trying to do calculation, you can look at how much water is actually being purveyed. I can't speak to what's Golden State, but I have been paying attention to CSD.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Any other council? No, I would just like to say thank you to Patrick for compiling all that information and sharing it with us. And thank you, Kylie, for being here and responding. And I personally am happy to hear that the numbers are being updated. I think we need to be as accurate as possible, considering how we want to be approving new developments. So if we could be kept in the loop of when those numbers are being updated or what the resulting numbers are so that the community can have feedback, that would be great, because it is really hard to grapple. Okay, I'm looking for more hands here. I think Jeff Edwards had his hand up, and then Patrick again.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jeff Edwards, and unfortunately, we got bogged down in this discussion about washing machines. By way of history, we have two water conservation programs that have been in effect since about 2008. One is the Title VIII retrofit upon sale program, and then of course the Title 19 retrofit to build program that we're talking about. And the retrofit to build program has been highly successful, and that's been documented, and there's a fairly substantial database at the county, especially between 2008 and 2012. This whole washing machine issue came about because originally you could retrofit anywhere in the urban area. And that was for plumbing fixtures, primarily toilets and shower heads. Then in about 2016, it was no longer allowed to retrofit plumbing fixtures inside the prohibition zone. So the focus was outside the prohibition zone, and given a limited number of those, the opportunities were scarce. So planning department, because they felt that they were running out of opportunities outside the PZ, they looked inside the PZ and came up with this washing machine replacement scenario. And while I agree that it's not perfect, it is what we have today. But I think we can do better, and I think we need to do better, and now's the time to pivot in that direction. Specifically, we need to update Title 19 for call it a 2.0. And we ought to allow retrofits anywhere in the community, because there are a lot of 1.6 gallon per flush toilets out there and quite a number of 2.5 gallon per minute shower heads, more than you'd think. And in allowing retrofits anywhere in the community, it opens it up, and I think it provides opportunities for the highest level of water conservation. Moreover, we ought to make any intensification of use, make it a requirement to retrofit. And that goes for ADUs, guest homes, bedrooms and bathrooms that are currently being added without any retrofit requirements. Everybody that intensifies use, residential or commercial, should be required to retrofit at least at 2 to 1. That should be done now. So if there's a message to the county, if this body wants to send a message to the county, ask them to update Title 19 retrofit to build and include some of the provisions I mentioned. And I'll close by saying this, and unfortunately, and the solution group has made it clear in their writings, they don't believe in any retrofit program to build or otherwise. So I find it kind of, well, disingenuous, shall we say, that they are taking our time talking about the Title 19 program that they don't believe in, and then they kind of got sidetracked with the washing machines. But that's
Okay,
all
we
I have.
can't have any disrespect against another person.
That was Patrick, right?
Thank you.
Oops, sorry, I accidentally muted you. Hold on.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay.
So I just had 3 comments. One is that when you get a new, in this case, washing machine that we were talking about, you sign a paper that that washing machine will stay in the residence when you move. But there is no enforceable mechanism to really make that happen. So someone could take that washing machine and replace it with something of lesser value or lesser water savings, and the county would have no way of knowing. Secondly, there's never been any studies yet by the county or anyone else that we are working with that can show that the offset program has actually been saving water. So we are using less water in our community, but that's because we are all trying to conserve it. And the last thing is, one of the newly built ADUs in our community had a family of 2 living in it. I just realized today that those 2 people moved into the ADU and are renting their house out now, which 6 people just rented for the week. So 2 people were living in the house. They are now living in their ADU, renting the house out, and 6 people are living in it. So the 2 to 1 offset that happened for that house is not really working because it's not the 2 people living in it there anymore using the water. So thank you very much. We'll look forward to what the county has updated.
Okay, next, I think Lindy had her hand up. Lindy.
Yeah, thank you. That was an interesting presentation. And again, I would hope that the county quickly updates and corrects the metric calculations that they agreed are incorrect. Down to washing machines, I think that's what we're kind of getting down to. Again, we haven't seen how many retrofits have gone through. We don't know how many people did it on their own before the refunds were available. So we really have no calculation of what's out there already in the way of conservation efforts. So as we move forward, the idea that we ask less people to retrofit because the calculations are off, it just means that we're getting more growth when we don't know how sustainable our basin is. And this might be, it's kind of nickel and diming maybe to complain about this or worry, but it is the ultimate situation that's going on. And I guess, and I would support maximum conservation. when the basin is proven. I think we still had money left in our sewer conservation fund that just never got used. And that could have paid for those retrofits without adding new users onto the basin in a 2-to-1 program. And then my last point is, as Patrick said, there is no limit on how much water these 2-to-1 conversion new buildings can use, or how much the old one can use. So if people are not caring and have enough money to pay for their water bills, we didn't get a savings, we got an increase. And we have no way to know all this. Hoping that most people are conserving and being sensitive, but I've seen plenty that aren't. And within a household, you can be super wasteful too, with your switching out your shower head. Anyway, I just think that we still have a water concern, and I think we need to get this calculation straightened out. And I'd like to verify that we've not already mostly retrofitted Los Osos, if that's possible to find. Thank you.
Okay. I don't see
Okay.
any more hands.
Okay, well, that's it then, Patrick. I want to thank you for the presentation, and very informative, very interesting.
Oh, there's one more hand.
Oh, there's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to go back to what's come up several times about the Basin Management Committee and how supportive they are potentially of bigger draw on our groundwater. And I have a quote from Mark Zimmer from the Golden State Water, who made this statement at the June 17th, 2020 Basin Management meeting. He said, once new customers become customers, they become customers that we have to serve, no matter what. I would like to take a more conservative approach than to push it to the limit of what our theoretical yield is, and have a little more certainty with confirmation of the program effectiveness and the data from the matrix coming back to us. Our fundamental priority is for existing customers and to make sure that these customers have a reliable and affordable source. And if we add more users onto the basin without a high level of certainty, then we're taking a risk there, and we have to evaluate that risk. So I just want to be on the record when various people point out that the water providers have said that they're going to provide the will serve letters. They are all on the record, including the CSD and Golden State and S&T, as showing grave concern about the nitrates, about the seawater intrusion. And so I just want to make sure that I say that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Nobody else has anything to say on this? If you do, you can say it now. Raise your hand. Okay.
Doesn't look like it.
Okay. So thanks everybody for that. Our last discussion here, and this is basically for from land use we came up with. And as you can see from tonight's discussion, there is a water issue, a water concern. I don't know what word you want to use, but people are concerned about water here in our community. And land use and wanted to not present, but to put out a letter to the powers that be, like the building department, the planning department, the board of supervisors, even just to the public, that that people know that we are concerned about our water, where it's going to come from, whether we have enough or not. I know that it's basically the basin management's, it's their responsibility to see about the water and control it and make sure it's used in a proper and efficient manner and that there is enough for everyone. But even though again, it's not our job to do that, but it's our job to let people know that the community is concerned. am requesting that Locac come up with a generic letter, just expressing our concerns. Did I make myself clear?
Can I say something?
Yes,
You
go ahead,
sent
Lynette,
out-
please.
You sent out an email tonight that the Basin Management Committee was going to bring us a presentation in June. Maybe if we could stave off on doing this and withdraw it, other than for anybody who wants to comment, why don't we talk about the letter after we've heard from the Basin Management Committee? Wouldn't that make more sense, that we'd be more educated at that point?
I can see the concern there. My thing is though, just like read in the paper a week ago, that this rainy season, was a failure. We got 6 inches of rain. Normally we get 15. That it's putting this letter off is kicking it down the road. And I know the information that we're going to get from the Basin Management Committee is going to be very valuable and very informative. But it's still not going to, it's why wait till then? They're not going to say overnight, wow, we've got, all of a sudden we have water. Are they?
Well, there were some holes in this letter, and I think if we got more educated, we might put out a more professional letter if we learned a little bit more.
Okay. I mean, I'm open for discussion on this. I'm not, anyone else have comment or anything? I see Tim's got his hand up there.
Yeah, I agree with
Chris?
Lynette. I think that we should maybe wait for this other presentation and get a little bit more educated before we write a letter that's going to have the backing of this board behind it.
But Tim, what are you going to get? What information are you going to get out of the man there? What are they going to say to you that's going to change your mind that you don't think there's a water concern here?
I think that we should wait and listen to all sides before we make a decision.
But it's not a decision we're making. We're not, again, making a statement. But
It
we
is a
do have.
statement when we write a letter with the board behind it. I just think we should, listen to their presentation and we can vote on the letter at that point and send it out if we need to.
I think so. Let me just clarify the intention of the discussion. We're not voting on a letter tonight. We're having a discussion around what some of the concerns might be with the letter, of what more information we might need. I think there's a lot of information already from the Basin Management Plan that's been gathered and researched for the letter. So I think, if I'm understanding correctly, Larry, the intent of this is the discussion. What are our concerns? What do we want to learn more about? What do we support? But we're not voting on a letter. Is that correct?
Yeah. Or the wording of the letter, change the wording of the letter. I don't know. But I think, and I'm put in the middle here because like this nice gentleman that wanted to build a house, and he's lived here and he's jumped through all the hoops and everything, Well, I've been on Locac here for many years, and it's one house here, one house here. It was 7 ADUs, that got appealed. It was, I'm getting more houses and more, adding bathrooms and adding more people living here, to be able to say something to the county. Look, hold off on it, slow it down a little bit, let's wait for the Basin Management Committee to come up with something saying, hey man, we've turned it around and we're going to be able to document, we've got the water, or maybe we don't.
Okay, Chris has her hand up, and let's see.
Oh, so I did want to mention that we could all attend the next Basin Management Committee meeting. There'll still be a Zoom. It's like Wednesday, the 19th. It's at 1:30, you know, so that might be hard for some people. But yeah, having more information and making it, I think would make a letter better.
Okay, but Chris, do you think there is a water issue? You're with the CSD. I mean, you know, you're the CSD has said they're concerned.
I agree. I do have some concerns that we're not sure if the basin can support the people that are here.
Yeah, you know, so that's where I'm coming from, you know, and if we have a drought like we had this last rainy season of 6 inches, if we have another one of those in a row, you know, it's again, and all I want to do is tell county, go ahead.
One more month, you know, or less than a month to, you know, be more informed about it, I think it's good.
Okay.
We're not like kicking it down indefinitely, but let's be more educated.
Okay.
I think people are feeling like they are educated, and I'm wondering if there's anything specifically in the letter that people don't like or that want to see added, or is the could somebody from the basin management come to land use committee next month so we don't have to wait till June? That would answer specific questions or concerns.
On the basin management committee, I forgot who I talked to today, Dan. He's giving a presentation at their May 3rd meeting or whatever it is with the new figures and stuff. And so that he wants to give that presentation to the basin management committee first with the new figures. And then our next meeting is, you know, the following month, just time-wise is how it works out.
Basin management's May 19th. So what's the next Locac is May 20th.
June. Oh, well, it would either be Locac or I was going to have him come to land use first, but.
Oh, okay. Oh, my mistake.
But either one, if you think coming to Locac is better, I can ask him to come to Locac. You know, we're within a week of
no, I'm
meeting.
not trying to get you to change your plan. No, I'm sure you thought that through. That's fine.
No, I didn't.
I think it'd be great if they came to the main Locac meeting.
Yeah, if they have new figures, bring it.
But I guess my other question is, if people had read the letter, what are some immediate concerns that come up?
Well, may I speak? Speaking to someone who has written quite a bit, I don't know if you can see this, but there's red lines through the whole thing. I think we could do a little better with this letter. So I'd be willing to help someone write it if need be. But I think we need to be a little.
Are you talking content? Is that more
content and
presentation?
Okay. Both content and presentation, both. So I just think we would have a better standing of approaching them if we have their new information. And I think if we can't attend the Basin Management Committee, Larry, if you're willing, have them come to our next Locac meeting. I don't think they would mind if they changed venues.
Yeah, no, he I'm sure he wouldn't mind. So I will call him and ask him if he can come to Locac. I didn't want to dump it on Locac without first, but it's fine with me.
Is there anyone else on Locac who would like to opine on that?
I think it'd be great if they came and gave their new figures that they have at the next meeting. I think that would be very, very informative.
Yeah, I agree. So there wouldn't be any objection on that level. It's a big issue. So if we can remove one one layer of objection would be good.
This is Jan. The other thing that would be good is all these questions that have come up tonight, which have to do with the Basin Management Committee. You know, we can each work on that and then ask them when they come and present to us so that we can get some clarity and understanding on what are they doing, how are they doing it, when are things going to change, how can they impact the county, how can we support them in a manner that is helpful to them and not just reactionary.
Agreed.
Thank you, Jan. That was wonderful.
Okay, I think any more council questions or should I move on? I think Lindy and Jeff had their hand up. Lindy, did you still have? Okay.
Yeah.
Oops, I accidentally, okay, go ahead.
I'm not.
You're good. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I think Lynette's doing a little editing work on the letter is good. And I think we can send it probably anytime because I think the concern is there, but it'd be better just after the next Basin meeting presentation at Locac, because then it means we're informed. So, so yeah, I thought I had something else, but that's it. Thanks.
Okay. All right, and then Jeff Edwards. You should be able to unmute Jeff. There you go.
Thank you. Good evening, Jeff Edwards. And clearly there's no urgency to the situation. I think Kylie Hensley mentioned there were on average, 2 to 3 homes being built in Los Osos. 2 to 3 homes. That's not an urgent situation. The letter is written. I've reviewed it. It's inflammatory. In fact, if I didn't know better, I would have thought this letter was written by the sustainability group. I almost don't know where to start. Clearly the letter's ill-advised. Is this intended to go to the Coastal Commission to help influence them in approving our community plan? Because if that's the idea, you're sorely mistaken. What's the purpose of the letter? Thank you.
Okay. So any other comments or questions? Right.
I don't
right.
see anyone.
Okay. So right now what I'm seeing is the letter needs to be worked on a little bit more, and I will call, I think Dan, I guess, whatever it is, the person from the Basin Management Committee, to find out if he can make a presentation at our next Locac meeting. Won't have to wait for land use. We'll just bring it to Locac and everyone can hear and see what they have to say. Does that sound good with people, or?
Yeah, and I would just echo Jan's comment that questions need to be given to them up, beforehand to prepare.
Yeah,
how we can support.
If people have questions for the Basin Management Committee and want to send them to me by email, I can then forward them on to them so they will have answers for those questions at the meeting, to give them, a heads up ahead of time what our questions and concerns are. And if that's it, maybe it's time to adjourn the meeting. If there's
Sounds
nothing
good.
else.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Anyone in favor?
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody. I think we're going through some questionable times now, but I know we're going to come out the other end of it just fine. But it does take some hard work to get this stuff done. And so I want to thank everybody for helping put all this together and getting through it and keeping Los Osos.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.